Hey, introduce myself. I do see a lot of students who you probably don't know who I am. My name is Daniel Garcia. I'm one of the board members of this district. Let me call this meeting to order. Dr. Norberto Cantu.
Present.
Mr. Eduardo Ramirez.
Present.
Ms. Judy Solis.
Present.
And myself, Daniel Garcia, are present. We do have a quorum. I think I saw Mr. Barrera earlier. Mr. Barrera, if you could select a student and come and lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance, that'd be good. There is a mic over here in the front, in the podium. Right here.
There you go.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Forgot to read. This is the public hearing for the school's first financial accountability. It is now November 12th, 2015, 6 p.m. And item C, overview of school first financial integrity rating system of Texas.
I'm Mr. Garcia, President of the Board, members of the Board, Mr. Trigo, Superintendent of Schools, ladies and gentlemen. We want to introduce the first integrity rating system of Texas. If I may, please. The Senate Bill 218 of the 77th Legislature authorized the implementation of a financial accountability rating system, which is officially referred to as the School First. The primary goal of the School First is to improve the management of the school district financial resources. School First was developed in consultation with the Controller of Public Accounts, and its development also benefit from the many comments that were received from many school districts and regional education service center personnel. The school district's School First rating is based upon an analysis of staff and student data reported for the 2013-2014 school year and budgetary and actual financial data of the 2014 school year ending August 34, 2014. Senate Bill 218 also requires each school district to prepare an annual financial accountability management report. Many businesses-related issues are covered in this report. However, it focuses on the School First rating worksheet. This worksheet was developed by the representatives of the TEA, Texas Education Agency, the Texas Business and Education Council, TECBEC, and the Texas Association of School Business Officials, TASBO. The worksheet is used to rate the district according to 7 defined indicators, each weighted equally, except for the first 4 critical indicators. A negative response to any of the first 4 critical indicators results in the district receiving a rating of fail. Rio Grande City CISD's rating under School First for the first year ended August 31st, 2014 was a pass. This report briefly describes data used to calculate the rating and what each indicator means. If we move down further a little bit here, the financial accountability rating system ensures that the school district will be held accountable for the quality of their financial management practices and achieved improved performance in the management of their financial resources. If we may move on indicator 1. The question is, was the complete annual financial report and the data submitted to TEA within 30 days of the November 27th or January 28th deadline, depending on the school district's fiscal year and date of June 30th or August 31st, respectively? And the answer is yes. RGCCISD annual financial report for the fiscal year ending 2014 was filed with the Texas Education Agency on January 28, 2015. This report was filed within the deadline date of February 28, 2015. On indicator 2, was there an unmodified opinion in the AFR on the financial statements as a whole? The answer is yes. The opinion expressed by our independent auditors on August 31st, 2015, annual financial report was unmodified opinion. A modification on our financial reports would have meant that corrections were needed in some of our reporting or financial controls. A district's goal, therefore, is to receive an unmodified opinion on its annual financial report. Number 3, was the school district in compliance with the payment terms of all debt agreements at fiscal year end? The answer is yes. Rio Grande City CISD was in total compliance with the payment terms of all debt agreements at fiscal year ended 2014. Number 4, was the total unrestricted net asset balance, net of the accretion of interest for capital appreciation bonds, in the governmental activities column in the statement of net assets greater than 0? And the answer is yes. Rio Grande City CISD's total unrestricted net asset balance, net of accretion of interest in the governmental activities in the statement of net assets was greater than 0. The net asset balance for 2014 was $28,297,070. Going to number 5, was the school district's administrative cost ratio equal to or less than the threshold ratio? The answer, the administrative cost ratio for RGCCISD as published by TEA was 0.088 for the fiscal year 2014. The acceptable administrative cost ratio as determined by Schools First is less than or equal to 1%. Our score was 0.088, so we get 10 points. We get the maximum points of indicator 5. On number 6, did the Comparison of Public Education Information Management Systems, known as PIMS, data to like information in the school district's AFR, annual financial report, result in total variance of less than 3% of all expenditures by function? RGCCISD data quality measure was 3% for the 2014, placing at all allowable 3% variation. The indicator measures the quality of data reported to PIMS and in the annual financial report to make certain that the data reported in each case matches up. RGCCISD acquired 10 points out of a possible 10. Here again. On number 7, did the external independent auditor report that the AFR, annual financial report, was free of any instances of material weaknesses in internal controls over financial reporting and in compliance for local, state, and federal funds? No material weaknesses in internal controls were reported in our 2013-14 audit. Internal control weaknesses create a risk that a district would not be able to properly account for its use of public funds and should be immediately addressed. Again, the district scored a 10 out of 10 on the particular indicator number 7. On the financial integrity rating system, determinant of rating is very basically on the first 4 indicators. It was an answer of yes or no. And did the district answer no to any of the indicators? And the answer is no, we did not. So if so, the district rating would have been standard achievement. On B, determines the rating by applicable range, and the district got a pass, and actually we scored a perfect score, which is 30 out of 30. Anything above a 16 to a 30 would be a pass, and a substandard achievement would be anything less than 16. If you look at the rating for the fiscal year, the rating is actually a pass. The status is passed. The district score is a complete 30, perfect score, and the passing score is just a 16. Now we'll move on to disclosures as provided. Reimbursements received by the superintendent and board members for the fiscal year of 2014. As you can see, and I'll just give you a chance to look at them. We have no problem. We've looked at all of them. Everything is good and compliant. On the reimbursements received by the superintendent for professional services for fiscal year 2014, we have at the bottom no amount reported. On disclosures of gifts received by the superintendent and board members and first-degree relatives, if any, for fiscal year 2014, we also report no amounts reported. On disclosure for business transactions between the school district and board members for the fiscal year 2014, as you can see, no amounts reported. And finally, the overall ratings for the state, if you can see that passed, the state had 1,012 districts that passed for a total of 98.83%, with the enrollments of 4,905,013, which is equal to a 99%, and they had a failure of 1.17%. And then at the bottom we had a total of 1,024, which is 100%. That's the state final. If anybody wishes to get a copy of our information, please contact the business office, myself, anybody from. We're here next door, and we'd be happy to provide them with the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosa. Thank you, sir. Section D, Rio Grande City CISD rating. That's it. Section E, public comments on the report. All right, now this public hearing is now adjourned. Can we do the band now?
Since it's 15 minutes and a half, can we... The kids...
Yeah, most of the kids are here. Some were, they had tutorials and other things that they're involved in, but
Sure.
most of them are here. I hope you'll indulge us. I'm sorry, this might take a little bit long. I don't want it to take too much time away from your agenda.
No problem.
But I do want to say, and I had the write-up that we have in the paper. I don't know how we would like to do this. I know Mr. Sines mentioned it in passing, but I don't think we should call we'll call out the names and then we'll take pictures with them at your liking, at your leisure. But I just want to say just a couple things. It'd been 30 years since our band had made it to state. I will make a little aside. I'll read out some comments by our students as they were entering the dome and their reaction, and it was such an awesome feeling. I do want to begin by thanking you all, because without your help, none of this would have been possible. And I do want to thank our community. We've got everyone from HEB, law firm, Mrs. Flores, all these people that have helped throughout the course of the year, in years past. Mr. Cantu's office has been, Mr. Ramirez, all of Mrs. Solis, all of you have been tremendously generous. And it is greatly appreciated. And as you can see, the results are what they are. And I want to thank you for all of your help, because all of this is because of the community, not because of one sole purpose. It's everybody involved. And that's what makes it more special. That's much more special. I'll just read a couple of comments by our students. The article will be in the paper next week. These are students, first off, quote, Miss Victoria Smedley, quote, unquote, drumline bass drummer, quote, unquote, pressure. That's what she felt. Miss Daniela Garcia, she's a sophomore flute player, nerve-wracking, but the best feeling ever, unquote. Mr. Gabriel Garza, junior marching band baritone member, commented, quote, breathtaking, an experience I will forever remember in my heart. unquote. I was excited to perform at such a high level in front of such an educated audience, another band student, a senior mellophone player. Mr. Olivares, the fine art director, he was a head band director here for many years. He declared, I could not help but tear up when our band was introduced at State. So that was awesome. We had a goal, and the goal was to get to State, but we never talked about the goal. It was just an unspoken thing. And the kids worked their tails off day in and day out, as the cross-country kids did. And we all saw each other in passing, but it's never spoken of. It's just adhered to. The discipline that they are going to attain as a result of this experience is going to be immeasurable. And I want to thank them because they're the ones that work. I just look pretty, even though I'm bald and ugly, but I look pretty. Miss Dela, our band president, summed it all up. The experience for the Rattler Band. Here we go. She recounts, walking into the tunnel of the Alamo Dome was thrilling. It made me realize again that we were here at State and what a huge accomplishment that is. State was such an amazing experience because we get to see all those other amazing bands and perform, or see them perform and see how we stack up against them. And I want to say a most sincere thank you to our Rio Grande City community, our Rio Grande City CISD Board of Trustees, Mr. Joel Trigo, our Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Ricardo Sainz, who's been extremely supportive throughout the year, unbelievable. Tireless band staff. They work hours in and hours out. But I do want to say a special thank you to Mr. Roger Olivares. He works tirelessly to make sure that all the POs were signed and everything was in order. And a special, very, very special thanks to our band parents. They have been a pillar. Again, we're very humbled by the opportunity to represent our community at State, and we were 25th among 250 high school 5A band programs. So, wow. So if you'll indulge, I guess I'll call them up, Mr. Sainz. How do we do? By sections? You want to do it by sections? Would it be okay? Or how do you want it? No, I'm not going to call them, but by sections, just yes. Have them take a picture? Yes. All right, we'll do it by sections. Flutes, all flutes, gather over there. Flutes. So if you'll indulge us, ladies and gentlemen. Over here in front. Over here, flutes. Flutes. Right over here. This is our flute section. We call it the flute army. It's huge. It's huge. Right here in front, ladies. I can move it out of the way. Clarinets and saxophones. Clarinets, saxophones, and low reeds. Over here, quickly. Clarinets, saxophones, and low reeds on this side. Clarinets, saxophones, and low reeds. Go. All clarinets, saxophones, and low reeds. Over there on that side, good, John? Let me have the high brass, mellophones, cornets, over here on this side. Low brass, all low brass. Low brass. Battery and front ensemble. Battery and front ensemble. Battery and front ensemble. Guard, color guard, and Deidre. Color guard and Deidre. Band? Did we leave anyone out? Band? No one? Again, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Trustees. Thank you very much, Mr. Trigo. Appreciate it. Mr. Science, thank you very much.
Mr. Barrera, on behalf of the board, we would just like to again congratulate all of the kids for this outstanding accomplishment. As a former band member and member of the Flag Corps, I know firsthand the kind of time and dedication it takes to get to that level. And also we know that the band doesn't always get the recognition that they deserve and the glory that they deserve. But I want y'all to know that we know every Friday night, Rio Band wins halftime. And when we saw you all marching out into the Alamo Dome, it gave us chills. It really did. It was amazing. Excellent job. Thank you. And to the parents, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Garcia, board members, Mr. Superintendent. Just that you know, this is a certificate the students will be receiving. Yes. And it reads a Certificate of Excellence in honor of your outstanding performance and dedication. We hereby present, and this is Mr. Rodolfo Barrera, with this certificate of recognition for your high standards of excellence and achievement at the state level band competition. And it is signed by all our board members, myself, and Mr. Barrera. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Want to do the cross country after we call the meeting? 6:30.
Okay.
Excuse me? We.
Wait.
Oh, just a formality, if I can just interrupt. Let me call this regular scheduled board meeting for the November board meeting, November 12th, 2015. It is now 6:30. Let me call this meeting to order. Mr. Noe Gonzalez?
Present.
Mr. Dr. Norberto Cantu?
Present.
Mr. Eduardo Ramirez?
Present.
Ms. Judy Solis?
Present.
Mr. Benito Sainz?
Present.
Mr. Ruben Klein?
Present.
And myself, Daniel Garcia, were present. And we do have a quorum. Section 3, approval of minutes for the regular board meeting of October 15, 2015. Do we have a motion for the approval of minute? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
No seconds.
We have a second by Mr. Ramirez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public forum. No. And
You skipped the pledge?
oh, because we had. Oh, okay. Now, Mr. Sainz, you wanted to continue?
Thank you. Just another note on the band. When they went to perform, we were able to live stream the performance to our campus, and we split up the groups to keep them smaller. And when they announced Rio Grande City High School, all our student body cheered them on, and then it got super quiet to be able to hear you guys performing. Y'all did a super job. They went to state, and they carried themselves with great pride, and they carried our hearts with them. We're very, very proud of the accomplishments that our band and our band directors have done this year. So once again, thank you very much to you and your parents. It also gives me great honor, sir, to present a group of students that every morning that I drive into school, 6:30, 6:45, I have to stop because kids are running in front of my vehicle. And then I get to a parking space and I see some shadows out there in the band parking lot, and I hear Mr. Barrera's voice on the intercom. But our cross-country kids have also excelled, and we want to present them here tonight. For the first time in Rio Grande City history, both our boys and our girls cross-country teams qualified to regionals at the same time. Okay, and we're going to recognize these students and bring them up. We're going to recognize the young ladies, Ms. Marlette Trevino, Ángela Rodríguez, Berlín Barrera, Brianna González, and Yesenia González. and Adriana Cruz. Adriana's at basketball practice right now. And our young boys, Jose Corona. Okay. We have one more young lady to recognize shortly. Okay. Young boys, Jose Corona, Efraín Palacios, Frank Gonzalez, Rolando Ramirez. The next two young men I'm going to introduce did something special. They actually qualified and ran at the state meet, and it had been the first time in 31 years that a young man from Rio Grande City High School has qualified to state in cross country. And this year we had two, and they're both juniors, so we're looking for great things next year also. Oh, a sophomore and a junior, I'm sorry. Iram Rivera, state qualifier. And Brandon Garcia. Gracia. We're also going to bring up Cristobal Aguirre from a regional qualifier. The last one I'm going to introduce here today is a young lady, senior year, qualified for. Okay, she's not here yet, but I'm going to introduce her anyway because she needs to be said. She ran the state meet, top 10, get medals. She finished 11th. But when she finished, she had something much more valuable than a medal. She had colleges chasing her down to offer her scholarships.
Awesome.
So, Ana Bautista. And our excellent coaches, Coach Ricardo Ataib, Coach Joe Ramirez. And the assistant was Coach Andy Lopez. Gentlemen, you're cross-country champions.
School board and distinguished guests today. I'd just like to add something really quick before we adjourn, with the presentation. I like what Ms. Solis said earlier that we don't get, like the band, we don't get a lot of PR. I mean, I'm going to be honest with y'all. This team and any other cross-country team that you see early in the mornings, nobody gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go running 8, 10-mile, 12-mile runs. I mean, you have to be a special type of breed of animal to do this kind of stuff. I'm not kidding. I mean, there's a lot of times when, my wife says, "What are you doing? Getting up that early in the morning?" I love it. This is my passion. When I told Ray that I was going to come over here and do some great things, I didn't know that I was going to be coaching with a legend like Coach Altaif, and that we were going to do it together. It's been a pleasure this year working with him, with my assistant, with having a great principal like Mr. Sainz and a great athletic director in Mr. Ray Ramirez. I mean, everything has worked out this year. And it's not finished yet, folks. On the guys' side, everybody's coming back. Okay? Everybody. Okay? And the girls, it's going to be a pleasure also because they're so young as well. But, a lot of times we don't get the accolades and this and that. It's very hard. It's very hard running miles and miles and miles and miles. So when you see somebody that runs even for leisure, thank that person because it's hard. We see a lot of people running out here at Fort Ringgold and this and that. Hey, it's hard. But our kids do it on a consistent basis. We started, and a lot of people don't know this, we started this the first day of June. Right after the school year ended last year, we said, let's get it cranked. Let's get it cranked up in the first day of June. And we were on a mission. all right? And some of us, it's been, like I told Coach Altaif and our other coach, it's been half a year that we've spent with our kids. We know the ins and outs of all these kids, where they live, their parents, everything. And it wouldn't be, without their parents and this and that, having them come and having those kids come to us. We applaud those parents because it's hard. Sometimes I wonder, hey, you know what? Why us? But I told Coach Altaif, I go, hey, we're going to build something. And when I got here, I said, we're going to build it the right way. And so far we have. Unfortunately, Ana's not here, Ana Bautista. But like Mr. Sainz says, all year long, folks, it's been a pleasure to being around Ana, right? Because of Ana's success, she's getting pulled by this college. At every meet we went to, she's being recruited left and right. Can I have a little word with you? Can I have a word? Can I have a word? And because of her success, it's trickling over to some of our kids now, all right? And they started talking about, hey, how old is your kids, the boys? Because they went to state too. Well, I got a sophomore and I got a junior. So it's starting to, success breeds success. And it's starting to do that right here at Rio Grande City. Guys, I just want to thank the school board and everybody that had an awesome year this year with Rio Grande City cross-country team. Thank you, guys.
I just one more, sir.
Yes, sir.
The Rio Grande City band staff. I'd like to thank them. I didn't mean to leave them out. It escaped me.
That happened.
Band staff, could you please stand and be
Stand, be
recognized?
recognized.
Yeah. They're the ones that work. They're the ones that work.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
And to the coaches of cross country, we do recognize that you all are the unsung heroes probably of the athletic program. And I know I'm guilty of not paying enough attention, but next year you can count on seeing me at least at one cross country track meet. So you let me know and I'll be out there cheering you on. Y'all do a great job. Thank you, coaches.
Mr. Sainz, it's been a great night for Rio Grande City High School. For the students and parents, we thank you for being here. And we do have our meeting to attend to. If you're welcome to stay, but we do understand if you all have homework or you all have to practice or do whatever you have to do. We understand if you all have to leave. Let me start. Item 2, consider and take possible action on travel request forms for Ringo Middle School.
We'll pause.
If everybody else wants to come to the front.
If anybody has left.
We should go to cross country meet. She's right. Those are long hours that they put.
Even the meets are like at 6:30.
No sé, ¿en fútbol? Sí, yo creo que sí. Ah, sí. Wow. Ah.
All right, Mr. Russia. Item 2, consider and take possible action on trial request form from Ringo Middle School, Veterans Middle School, Gruya High School, and Rio Grande City High School.
Is somebody going to talk about it? Okay.
We have one mariachi, 13 students to participate in Mariachi Vargas Extravaganza competition in San Antonio on November the 19th to the 21st. We recommend approval.
Can I ask a question on that? Because you notice that there's 3 trips. I mean, it's great opportunity for the students, I know, right? But there are three student groups, one of 13, one of 14, and one of 15. That's a total of 42 students. Are they going to be driving each in a different bus? They're leaving exactly the same time because the itinerary is here, and they're going to go to the same hotel, and they have basically the same schedule for everything, and they're going to come back at exactly the same time. I'm wondering if we need 3 different buses for them, or is it possible? I mean, we're talking about a total of 42 students.
I know.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Trigo, ladies and gentlemen. In years past, we have combined the middle schools in one bus and the high schools in another bus. That's what we've done in years past. We have, I don't know what arrangements have been made this year, but more than likely, it'll probably be the same kind of
So you're going
arrangements.
So instead of 3 different buses, right, there'll be 2?
2, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
It's a total of 42 students in all 3. You know?
But there's also, I think that the Gruya High School travel request got approved last meeting.
So it's a part of this
Yes, sir.
group too?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's not in this, okay.
That's right.
Okay, so that's 4 groups, okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
if we can combine, it seems to me it might be a savings.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes,
It's just
Mr. Garcia makes that recommendation, and we always go along
okay,
with
very
that.
good.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Because it's the same itinerary for all of them, and that's good. And it's a wonderful opportunity for the students to participate in this kind of event. It's really good. Okay.
Do we have a motion in item 2?
I so move, sir.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Solis. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 3, receive update report on refunding bond series 2015 from Dr. Miguel de los Santos, District Financial Advisor.
We have today, Mr. Board President, Dr. De Los Santos with Estrada and Hinojosa to make a brief presentation to the board. Mr. De Los Santos, would you please?
Thank you.
I got the brief real clearly. Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Trigo, I was here on September 22nd, and you all authorized that we go out and refund some bonds from 2006. And I wanted to just go. We ended up pulling the trigger or doing the transaction last week, and I'd like to report to you the savings that we had predicted and the savings that the district actually got. The market got really, really good for the district, and you did very well. On September 22nd, it's not in the presentation, but just for your, if you look at the last column on the second page, the par amount of refunded bonds and the refunding bonds and the little highlighted area that says net present value savings. If you look at those are the savings that you actualized. You had a net present value savings of $3,704,000. On September 22nd, when we proposed it to you, we had predicted at the market, the way the market was at that time, $2.8 million. So there's a difference of about $868 million in your favor. It could have gone the other way. It's not that we worked the magic or that we're so good. It's just the market was really, really good in your favor. On September 22nd, we predicted an interest cost, that last line, true interest cost of 3.506, and the actual true interest cost came in at 3.288. And that almost 0.25% difference made a difference of almost $1 million in savings over the life of the bonds. So if you look at the next page is simply The second column will show you what the interest rates were prior to the execution, and the next to the last column shows the new interest rates for each one of those maturities by maturity. And just to give you an example, you had bonds, the payment that you're going to make in 2017, 8/15/17 was at 4%. The new payment is going to be at 0.7%, which is less than 1%.
Wow.
And on down the line.
Big difference.
It's a very sizable difference. The savings, if I can take you back to, I didn't mention one thing that's very important. If I can take you back to page 1, where it says percent of savings of refunded bonds, it's in the highlighted section there. We had predicted a 9.144, and it's 11.94. And what that means is that having done this transaction and moving forward with it, at the end of 20 years, when you finish paying off these bonds, you will have paid 12% less than what you would needed to have paid if you hadn't done this transaction. And 11.94 is off the top. I mean, generally we recommend transactions with 3 to 5%. So the market was very, very good to Rio. And I'd like to say that, especially Mr. Recio, we work very closely with him. We also very closely with Mr. Trigo on NEDA. They were very instrumental in us, in the communications that we had with the rating agencies and with the bond attorneys and so on and so forth. Always very timely in getting all the information out. That was very, very helpful to us. And I think that also plays when investors, put the money forward to lend to the school district. So. And then the last page that I would like to visit with you on is on page 3. And really the highlight of that is if you look at the shaded column, which is the 4th column there, is the actual savings, which is an average of about $243,000, $244,000 a year for the next 20 years. If you look at the bottom line where it says savings of $5,109,000, in future dollars, that is, as you're paying every year for the next 20 years, you will have saved $5 million. In present value dollars, without taking into consideration inflation for the next 20 years, we quote you 3.7. Now, this transaction has been, when you took action on September 22nd, you authorized superintendent, business manager to, whenever the market was good, to pull the trigger, and in fact, we've done. I'm just reporting to you. The transaction is already done. I do like to say, so that we're very clear about it, and I've said it to you before, of the savings that you have, you need to remember that a portion of that is estates. In other words, they're not going to send you what they were sending you to make your payment, and whatever you collect with the taxes that you're collecting, that is your savings. The savings to the state is approximately $170,000. The district saving is $73,000 a year, approximately. And but that $73,000 a year, when you look at your values, which is $1.1,200,000,000, and you put a penny to that, that raises you approximately $110,000 per penny. So if you're saving $72,000 a year, you're saving approximately 2/3 of a penny on your INS tax rate. That's not to say I'm not recommending reduce that 2/3 of a cent. What you do is you keep it there, and those $77 million go into a reserve fund for, at a future point you may want to lower the tax rate, or it might help you in another refunding. But it's your option. You actually have 2/3 of a penny to play with the following year. I'd like to thank you all very much for the opportunity to serve you, and I'm pleased that I was able to come with even better news than what we had predicted at that time.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your band and your cross-country kids.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Santos. That's
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Item 4, consider and take possible action on Rio Grande City CISD participation in a HPV vaccination education campaign.
Tonight, board members, we have RGC has a presentation by Dr. Ana Rodriguez from the University of Texas Medical Branch, and she's here with us tonight, and she wants to make present a brief presentation.
Okay.
Doctor.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity of having me. I am Dr. Ana Rodriguez, Assistant Professor for the University of Texas in Galveston. And I would like to talk to you this evening about an initiative that the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston with MD Anderson is putting together to help some areas in the state that have very low HPV vaccination rates and therefore have a high impact of the HPV virus in the community. I would like to show you some slides with the background that is in reference to this problem that we have right now in the state. I don't know if I am here in the right position, but HPV is everywhere. You guys might have already heard that this is a virus that is widespread. About 79 million people in this country are already contaminated with this virus. About 80% of the sexually active women at some point will have an infection related to the virus and a disease. Most HPV infections, we know that they are transient. However, for some reason, there are people that keep the virus in their bodies and present in the future with disease and cancer. This is the virus that is also related to cancer. According to the CDC, these are the estimates of cancers that are occurrent right now related to HPV. Some of these cancers are cervical cancer, anal cancer, low-grade, high-grade precancerous lesions, vulvar and vaginal cancer. And these are cancers that are occurring also in males, especially anal cancer and penile cancer. This slide is also showing some of the most common HPV-associated cancer by sex, and you can see that among women, the most common cancer is cervical cancer, and among men, it is oropharyngeal cancer. And these are cancers that we can prevent with the vaccine. This slide is showing how the states in the country are doing in terms of cervical cancer. You can see that Texas is one of the highest states with the highest number of new cancers related to cervix and related to HPV in the country. And when we studied the state and we studied the areas that are most affected, we found that this is one of the highest areas in the state that is affected by cervical cancer. We are actually the second. The first one was California. This is also a picture showing the new vaginal cancer incidence rate in the country. Again, Texas is one of the highest. And when we study the counties in the state, these counties in the lower Rio Grande Valley are the most affected counties. Penile cancer among men is also very high in the state. And when we study the race and ethnicities, we see the Hispanic ethnicity is one of the most affected by the HPV infection and all the cancer related to HPV. So there is a prevention for this. We have the HPV vaccine available. We now have 3 vaccines. The new vaccine, the number 9, that is going to be helping preventing this type of cancer is called HPV-9. It was approved in 2014 and is now available to give it. The CDC is recommending this vaccine for all males and females between 11 and 12 years of age. And this vaccine is also very safe because one of the barriers that we are seeing is that parents are concerned that the vaccine is not safe, and that's why they are not consenting to have their kids vaccinated with the HPV. It is very safe. Right now, we have given the vaccine in this country in more than 50 million people, and the secondary effects that have been reported have been very, very mild, very similar to the secondary effects related to the Tdap and other vaccines. In United States, the vaccine is not being utilized as in other countries. We have one of the lowest rates in the world, and I'm going to show you some statistics about that. You can see on this slide that for males, and this is data up to 2013, we have only 13.9% vaccinated males. And for females, completing the 3 doses, because there are 3 doses that needs to be given, so we only have 37.6%, very low. This is another slide showing how are we doing in comparison to other states. And in general, the country is not meeting the goal that the CDC has, which is to vaccinate 80% of our males and females between ages of 11 and 13. Texas is at 38.9% right now. One of the reasons that the CDC has found is that the well-child visits are not being recommending or emphasizing the vaccine to the kids. Only 10% of the kids that go for well-child visits are receiving the HPV vaccine. Also, this slide is showing how are we doing in comparison to other countries in the world. We are actually one of the lowest when you compare to Canada, United Kingdom, and Australia. When we study the barriers related to this, why is that the kids in this country are not getting vaccinated? We found the 5 top reasons are that the physicians probably are not taking enough time to explain to the parents why this vaccine is important, how safe it is, and it seems like it's more related to the provider recommendation. Also, parents have some safety concerns and lack of knowledge about the vaccine. This is a public health priority right now in the state and actually in the country. So the University of Texas in Galveston and MD Anderson, we're putting together some strategies to submit to the state for funding to help to raise the rate of HPV vaccination. And we are here proposing, since this is one of the most affected areas in the state, we are proposing basically educate the parents in, we would like to start with two counties, the Stark County and Hidalgo County, educating key stakeholders about the vaccine. And also my colleague from MD Anderson will come, and we would like to put together some talks and meet with the parents and answer their concerns and just increase the awareness about the HPV and all the benefits related to it. Our second goal is to just increase the HPV vaccination and get to that 80% CDC goal in the country for the rate in this area. The first objective is just to pilot a program with the Rio Grande City area, starting with one middle school, see how the parents with one of the middle schools respond to the campaign and see if they will agree to consent for the HPV vaccination. Our second objective is that works and the rates will increase in this area, so expand that to other middle schools and continue the campaign, educating the parents and answering their concerns about the vaccine. Also, the state needs those kids that are getting vaccinated to be reported to the IMTRAC. That way our state will be able to track those true numbers and be able to publish exactly how many kids are getting vaccinated. So we would like to also encourage the parents to register their kids so they can get into that system and the state can run those true statistics. So we think that if we can increase the HPV vaccination rate, this is a vaccine that this is anti-cancer and has the potential to prevent lethal diseases in the future. And that's all I have for everybody. I'll be happy to take any questions if there is time.
Let me say that I was in the committee that met with Dr. Rodriguez and also Dr. I forgot her name, the astronaut.
Baker.
Dr. Baker. We met with him, Mr. Trigo and myself, and we also had Dr. Antonio Falcon and our district nurse, Miss Diana Solis, was there. And in addition to Dr. Rodriguez and Dr. Baker, another person involved is Dr. Mary Elizabeth Edgerton. Now, some of you may recall that name. Dr. Edgerton is a graduate of Rio Grande City High School. She was a brilliant student. I remember her because she was my student, and she is now a doctor at MD Anderson Hospital, and so she is very interested in getting us to participate in the program. I think it's an excellent program, and it provides a lot of education for the parents also in case there are any questions. And I'm all for it, Dr. Rodriguez. I'm glad you made the presentation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Like I say, I come here, I think I mentioned that to the meeting that day, that I have been coming to this area for the last 5 years. Our university has a regional clinic in McAllen, and I really see the burden of the disease and so much cervical cancer in this area.
Okay. Do we have a motion, item 4?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Mr. Sines. Do we have a second? We have a second by Mr. Klein. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5, consider and take possible action on request for use of school facilities, George R. Sanchez Stadium, for the Department of the Army for scheduled battle assemblies.
Who's going to present on that?
I'm just.
I have a couple of questions or so. Of course.
I do too. All right. Let me just take the time now that he's bringing that up from the board. We want to congratulate Mr. Sines. Many might not know that he just retired. 50 years of working in the education. Thank you. Thank you. So he'll have plenty of time to review the agenda.
That's the downside of that.
Yeah. He'll help you write a business.
There is a downside. Yeah.
We were worried there for a bit when we didn't see him in the chair early today.
The only reason I'm late is that the faculty at La Jolla High School had a reception for me at 5 o'clock. So that's why I was late.
Mr. Garcia, on number 4, we recommend approval. The administration recommends approval.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. That was item 4.
Oh yeah, we already voted.
Okay. On number 5.
We're in item 5.
Item 5.
The Department of the Army, which is the reserve unit that's based here in the Fort Ringo, is requesting the use of the Joe R. Stadium for a battle assembly that will take place on the information that you have. They've done it before. This is just they want to continue using the facility, and that's the stadium, so they can train, and they're asking permission to do so. And we've got the documentation that we need, and we recommend approval.
Okay, my question is only, I checked all those dates, and some of those dates are during school time. And I don't know how that conflict might conflict with the school. Like on March the 3rd through the 6th, that's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So Thursday and Friday would be a conflict. And in May 2 and 3, that's a Monday and a Tuesday. And again, that might create some conflicts if they're going to be using the. This would be for the stadium, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right.
The athletic director and I believe went over the schedule. He brought the schedule to us. He coordinated this with the Army.
So no conflict?
No conflict.
No activities?
No
happen?
activities.
We don't use the stadium during the day unless there's an activity, right?
We do, Mr. Sainz, but I'm not sure exactly what the specifics are, but he told me we have no problem with the use here.
Okay, all right.
That's what he told me.
Mr. Horacio, I didn't see the paperwork, I mean, other than what was provided to us, but are we protected? Do they have any kind of...
The Army?
If anything happens on the field?
Yes, sir.
They got that paperwork?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, they are.
Right. Have they already used it? Because there's a date that already passed. Ray. Okay. November 7 and 8. But it's on a weekend, so it's not a problem. But just so there's no conflict with any of the our students.
Yeah, sure.
No problem.
Sure.
No, we're just wondering if, but Mr. Rush is saying that you've already cleared the no conflict with any activities, because some of those days are during school time.
On that particular weekend, Mr. Science, it's going to be early in the morning, usually 7 to 8 in the morning, 1 hour, an hour and a half the most.
Okay.
And they're out and usually do a PT training, some drills and whatever else they do, but it won't take more than an hour and a half.
Okay, so no conflict.
No conflict.
And I would imagine they would work around our schedule. If for some reason the school had to use the field, I would imagine that they're willing to work around us.
The stadium is used mostly during the day by our magnet school, and they start probably after 8:30, after their breakfast and their first class.
Okay, all right, no problem.
All right, we have a motion in item 5.
We approve item 5 as presented.
We have a motion by Mr. Gonzalez. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Sines. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 6, consider and take possible action on request for use of school facilities, Ringo Elementary, from HEB to host the Feast of Sharing dinner for Rio Grande City and the surrounding communities on December 3rd, 2015.
HEB is requesting the use of Ringo Elementary for the Feast of Sharing, sir, for the Rio Grande City CISD surrounding, and to serve the surrounding communities. This event will take place on the 3rd of December. We've got the documentation. They've been here before. This has been pretty good, pretty successful.
Mr. Horacio, I look for the time, and nowhere does it say the time. When do they normally have it?
Here at next door.
But when? What time?
Yeah,
in the evening? After hours? Okay.
And I see some representatives from HEB here. Thank you for being here today. Yeah. I don't know.
There they are.
Who's that?
Yes.
Would you all like to have a comment? Okay.
This is an annual thing, and
it's always a beautiful event.
So
always a wonderful community
with
event.
With that note, I move we approve item 6.
I would second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Gonzalez, a second by Ms. Solis. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 7, consider and take possible actions on donations to RGCCISD. Mr. Reyes, and we can have them read. I did notice there were some large amounts.
Yeah,
that were
they are.
donated by
Okay, we'll go ahead and start with
recognition.
Roque Guerra Junior Elementary. I think the principal's here. There you are, Monique. We have 2 sizable donations on the top. There, one for $8,259. And this is for services. I believe that's had to do with providing some sand. Am I correct, Monique? Yeah, for the kids, for the playground, I believe. That's one of them. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. President and board members, Mr. Trigo. This is a company that provided us not only the sand, but they went ahead and redid the whole playground. So they uprooted all the grass, the old grass, and they laid down about, I think it was 10 loads of sand. So it was very nice that they did all of that on their own in one day.
If you could state the name, I don't think nobody said who donated that.
JF Utilities.
Jorge Falcón.
Yes.
To be
For
exact.
the PR department, it would be nice to have a picture of Mr. Falcon and his business out there with Roquiguera and staff. I mean, that's a pretty wonderful donation. We'd like to recognize him. So if we could put that on, Cindy, that'd be
We
great.
sure can. We sure
I think
can.
that would be wonderful to recognize
We did take
him.
a couple of pictures and we did send them to
Okay.
Public Relations with Ms. Becky Garza.
Okay.
And she went ahead and she put it up.
Okay, that
And
would be
so did
awesome.
Ms. Idani Salinas at the town crier.
Okay.
But I think on something like this, other than the typical letter, I think
Yes.
we need to do a little more something on,
Yes.
on
Yeah,
this
that's
one.
pretty good. Tell him we have other schools if anybody sees them out there. We would love a donation from him.
He likes Roquiguera.
Well,
Thank
that's
you
his
very
neighborhood,
much.
yeah.
Actually, the next one, the Gruy Middle School.
You know, I happened to run across him at Tractor Supply on a Saturday morning, and he told me that he was very proud to do that and that he would do it again and again. For some reason, he is, you know,
I think Ringgold Elementary approached me that they may be
Yeah.
in dire need of sand.
he's been very good
I
to
might want to
us
invite him to lunch or something.
in so many ways, more
great.
ways than one.
Don't make him change his mind.
So, may I continue?
Yes.
Gruya Middle, also, if you can see that number, that only doubles and gets better. He offered to give a service and a discount to his bottom line price of $17,520.
Awesome.
And again, we notified him. I personally called him to tell him that this would be public, and the announcement on his to recognize him. And he continues to help the district. So
awesome.
we applaud him and we thank him.
Mr. Trigo, I think we need to do something special for them. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. You know, I know it has to do with the playground and the paving of the
Absolutely.
of the roads.
We will do something special. Mr. Recio and I will plan on something.
Thank you.
Next item there is Gruya Elementary. They got $100 on the 16th from Texas Delta Theta Masters Chapter Beta. And again, Gruya Elementary got another one for, I believe, 1976 on the 21st. The Kula Foundation. Rio High Culinary Arts. They got a check from Stark County Credit Federal Credit Union for $1,500 on the 24th of September. The ACE 2E Middle School got a check for $250 on October the 27th from Dr. Cantu. Office of Attendance and Truancy, that's headed by Assistant Superintendent Mr. Peña, which is here. Donated $100 on the 28th was awarded $100 from Medina Electric. Office of Attendance and Truancy, another $100 on the 28th from the law office of Marty Garcia, Bella. And finally, Rio High cheerleaders got a check for $50 on the 30th of October from Let's Talk Therapy, PLLC.
Any more discussion? Do we have a motion, item 7?
So moved, sir.
We have a motion by Mr. Sines. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second by Mr. Ramirez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item 8, consider and take possible actions on repairing, replacing, and/or adding baseball cages for both high schools.
We have here today the AD, and we also have Mr. Gonzalez from the athletic department. If you all want to have a comment here, you're welcome to do so. The department is in need of repairing, replacing, renewing, and adding, and we put all those words in there, some baseball cages for the athletes.
And I will add that this was always already presented to the facilities committee, and I think Dr. Cantu, myself, and Mr. Sines were present. And
We've gone through the specifics on it, but I'd like for you to make some comments here.
If there's any questions, again, I would like to thank the committee for approving these batting cages. They're a great need for our athletes, especially during the off season, because as you all know, they're not allowed to practice after school. So our coaches need those facilities to practice during the school hour athletic period, and it's a big advantage to have those facilities available to them. So thank you so much.
They're already under construction, right?
We're coordinating with the maintenance department to get them started soon. Yes, we're in the process. We've already submitted an order for to get the nets ordered, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll get them done.
All right, thanks. And we're going to build 2 at Gruya High School and 2 at Rio Grande City High School.
Yes, sir. That's what the committee approved. 2
one
and 2.
for boys and 1 for girls in each.
That is correct.
Correct. All right. Very good.
Thank you.
any more discussion?
I so move, Mr. Chairman, on item number 8.
We have a motion by Mr. Sines. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Solis. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 9, consider and take possible action on computer system license and maintenance agreement by and between Appraisal and Collection Technologies LLC and RGCCISD.
We have today Ms. Laura Garcia is here with us on this particular request to approve. Rio Grande City CISD Tax Office is proposing an agreement with the Appraisal and Collection Technology, the computer system license and maintenance agreement needed for the collection of taxes. The contract is from December 1st, 15 to November 30th, 16 for a total of $21,000. Amount is the same as the prior year. It's a renewal, and it just adds up and upgrades and brings us up to par with on our collection office. We're doing pretty much good. We have really good numbers, I may say, on collection, especially for the month of October, and you'll see those as we go further down. But Laura, you're here. Would you like to make a comment or anything?
You're satisfied with the services, sir? Very good.
And I was going to mention that because when I talked to Dr. Salinas, I think he mentioned if we were to not be, if it was a subsidiary of Lineberger, then I think the next one would be somewhere upwards of $90,000 or something like that. Thank you.
It's stated there.
Yep.
Do we have a motion in item 9?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Mr. Sines. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second by Mr. Ramirez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 10, consider and take possible action on resolution to cast the RGCCISD vote for representation on the Starr County Appraisal District's Board of Directors for the 2016-2017 terms.
The Starr County Chief Appraiser delivered an official ballot for the Starr County Appraisal District Board of Directors for 2016-17 on October the 30th. Attached, you have a resolution for casting of the votes by the school board. We're recommending the approval of casting of the votes as recommended by the school board.
We have a motion, item 10.
Do we have to indicate the numbers?
Yes.
The number of votes for each?
Yeah, I believe that it's there, it's 1785. I think that's the number.
That's the total, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you all decide on the division of it, and you just, the numbers for each candidate. That's the way it works.
Okay. It's 892.5 per. Okay?
Okay.
For who? If you can list
I'm
half
sorry?
and half. You said it was going to be half and half. If you can just say the half to who and half to the other one
Right.
in the motion, whatever motion.
So moved.
All right, do we have a motion?
Oh, you did? Sorry.
Oh, we have a motion by Mr. Sines. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Klein. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 11, consider and take possible action on tax refund for the month of October 2015.
I'm sorry. I just don't have it.
Presented is a request for the approval of tax refund for October 2015, refunds of totaling of $754.16 being requested. Attached, you have a summary there. The administration recommends approval of the refund, sir.
Any discussion, item 11? We have a motion on item. We have a motion by Mr. Klein. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Ramirez. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 12, consider and take possible action on requisitions 5,000 and over in a 12-month aggregate.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Good, how are you?
Thank you, sir. These are additional ones?
go, Joe. All yours.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Trigo, and ladies and gentlemen. We do have requisitions over $5,000 in the 12-month aggregate for you to consider, starting on page 104, plus the addendum that I just handed out to you. This addendum, these are requisitions that came in after the agenda was published, and we're bringing them for your consideration also.
Mr. Smedley, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The first two items are exactly the same. What is that on that list? On page 106?
Okay, the second and third item?
First,
The handout that I gave you?
No, the original one. Page 106.
Oh. Those are two different, and it's the same dollar amount, but they're two different requisitions.
Okay. And why are they?
And I believe, and I have them with me, I believe one is for Rio High School and the other is for Gruya High School.
Oh, okay. There's no distinct indication
yeah.
here. I was wondering.
I could verify that for you if you'd like.
Well, just I'm wondering why they had the same item twice, but.
And I'm sorry I didn't make that distinction. It is requisition 256.
Mr. Recio, I have a question on Mr. Sanchez on his fees. Did he go through any kind of committees? What are the specifics on that? On that? Margil Sanchez, requisitions over 5. Do you have any specifics on that?
We have an invoice. Yes, we sure do. It was just approved today. It was for a services that he's providing the district on the working on the litigation for the custom house at the corner of 83 and right behind the football stadium, sir. Mm-hmm. And we haven't paid for any services, and he's been on it since, I guess, it's been over a month. So he called me, and he had sent me a statement, and we were just processing it. And basically, it's it. He had a total of $5,000, and he said that the payment of $2,500 would, to start would be fine, and we processed it today. And it's on here.
What, the border patrol station or?
Sí, yes, sir. Working on the property there at the very corner. Yes, sir. Yeah, we haven't paid him a penny. So
I was not, because we're not aware that he was hired for that. We just didn't know the specifics between what was going on with the city and on that property. Do you have any kind of updates for us on that?
Yes.
He updated me. I can share it.
Yeah.
He did state, and I think when I was there when he met with the, I guess the city has their own attorney, and that that property does belong to the district. It does not belong to the city, and that there is the lease that was entered between the city and the district and the U.S. government lasted till 2057. Since they moved out, the city's claiming that they had a lease from the U.S. government, and that's how they ended up acquiring or getting access to the building. But Margil is claiming that the lease is not valid because it was not between the original lease involved the U.S. government and our district as parties, not the city. So that's the issue.
They also don't have a warranty on the deed.
There's no warranty.
Yeah, there's no warranty. So they do want to continue to occupy it. That's what we're being told.
That's what I guess the negotiations now is, that maybe the city would rent it from the district or enter into a lease between the city and the district directly.
Okay.
But that hasn't happened.
Well, it seems to be prolonged.
Well,
Can we have a meeting on that so we
no,
can
well,
finalize
the city
it?
is being represented by legal from Brownsville, and they just came in, and I think the board president met. I did not play a part there, but I've been collaborating with Mr. Garcia here, and he's up to date on the issue. So
But why
I
don't
thought
you
that.
let us, Mr. Recio, why don't you let us, we're 7 board members, why don't you let us know, everybody, what's going on? Well, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the rest of it, that's why Mr. Gattulla is asking about it. I don't know Mr. Gonzalez knows about it. I know that Benito Sáenz, nobody knows about it.
Okay.
Contact us and tell us what's going on.
I will, Mr. Klein. And I didn't know that I was reporting to, because I was told contact Mr. Sanchez by Mr. Garcia, and that was the protocol to me.
We'll make sure to do that, Mr. Recio.
Yes, sir.
We'll make sure to get together and
Yeah, we can go to the
inform.
committee. Yes, sir. Seguro. Yes, definitely. I have no problem with that.
Any more discussion?
Just a question from Mr. Smedley. On one item here, for an elementary school, it's for STAR practice test for math, writing, and reading, and the amount is $12,231. Is that like these are materials for the entire year, or is it just for one school?
I can't answer that for curriculum associates for General Sanchez Elementary.
Is that for
the
like,
year.
for the entire school year? That amount and of materials that they're going to use it throughout the year,
Throughout
or is
the
it
year.
just?
Oh, yes, they're going to use it throughout the year.
Okay. And like every school orders their own.
Yes, sir. Every school has their budget and they order the material that they want to use for their program.
Okay.
And if I may, Mr. Sáenz, we did have it confirmed that those two requisitions for Palco specialties, one is for Gruya High School and one is for Rio Grande City High School.
Oh, okay. I just saw them both the same, exactly the same.
Yes.
Didn't see any difference.
I apologize for not stating that. Both quotes show Rio Grande City High School, but one is for Gruya High School.
All right.
Any more discussion? Item 12. We have a motion. Item 12.
So moved, sir.
We have a motion by Mr. Sáenz. Do we have a second? We have a second by Ms. Solis. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 13, consider and take possible action on UIL coordinator and sponsor stipends for the 2015-2016 school year.
Good evening, Mr. Board President, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent. On item 13, before you on your packet, you have the budget and the stipends for the 15-16 school year academic UIL coordinators and sponsors for each campus. On your pass out, you'll find a complete breakdown, and that begins on page 109. The key points here is, another key point here is that the budget is the same from last year. This was presented to Personnel Committee on 11/10/15.
I know I'm on that committee. We went over it. We're very proud of our schools. We know they're very competitive in UIL. We know many of them put in long hours. Obviously, these stipends, we wish they could be bigger, but it is what it is. And but we're very informed as far as that goes.
I do have a question on this. On page 111, on the amount, there's one of $300 in each of the pages. It doesn't specify for what it is because it's darkened at the end. And in the narrative at the beginning, I couldn't find that $300 for each of the schools.
Yes, sir.
What is it?
Apologize on the copy, but that's for your spelling bee. That's spelling bee.
And in fact, we talked about it because I asked if that could be a higher stipend because it's such an important, I think, subject, the spelling bee. But unfortunately, that's state mandated. It can only be $300. Even though last year we had a student go all the way to the very top in that category, apparently $300 is what the stipend has to be. Correct, Dr. Salinas?
Yes, and another, in speaking to seasoned administrators, because we have heard this before, brought up to us that this is half of every other stipend. I believe the most common response we've gotten is the calendar work time, if you will, is shorter than the actual UIL period.
Okay, the amount is that I was just wondering because I don't see that on page 109. It's not reflected, the extra $300 anywhere, you know? And it's $300 per school,
on
per campus, I mean, yeah. And it's not listed there where you totaled up how much it is compared from last year and for this year.
I'm going to venture to say yes, sir, because I see the 18 events. So
I'm sorry?
I would venture to say yes because of the 18 events that are budgeted for at the elementary. If you look on page 111, it has from 2nd all the way 3rd to 5th.
Okay, and that $300 is reflected on the totals of the 2015, 2016 pages on 109 and 110? It's a total of 3,600 because there were
Right.
12 schools that have it. You know?
Right.
And I just didn't see that item on
Yeah. No, you're correct, sir. There's 18 events, and that's all the UIL events. So the 300 is separate.
Is separate?
Yes.
So
I
that
just
needs to be
counted. I
added.
just went down and counted them. Yes.
Okay, and it needs to be added to the totals, right? Because it wouldn't, then those totals would not be accurate.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then the other observation I made is on page. I was very, very disappointed with this. It's let me show you. It's on page 123 and 124. Are you there already?
Yes, sir.
You notice that there's some blanks, a lot of blanks in those pages? Am I understanding that there are no sponsors for those events? That's why they're blank?
I'd have to verify, sir, with the high school.
See, blank?
Yeah. You see one for biology, for example? That's for.
Well, there's a lot of blanks there, or the amount. There are no names.
Right.
The events are there, but I mean, there's no.
Right. Bars.
And
You see
that
varsity?
is, to me, that's totally unacceptable. And if we have a UIL coordinator, that person needs to make sure that you know, some effort is done to fill all those positions. Those are very important, and now more than ever, the UIL exams, all the different events are geared towards the end of course exam, the same format or the same questioning, reasoning, so that they can. It just enhances or adds to the end of course. It helps these students in that direction. So I was just so disappointed to see so many blanks, so many no sponsors, in other words. And please direct Mr. Trio and Mr. Dr. Salinas.
We certainly will.
That we need to have. It's just a matter of somebody being real, you know, aggressive in looking for sponsors. We have the monies for them, but
yes, sir.
And you know, I just wanted to see more because I'm very high on UIL because I know it's excellent for our kids, for the students to really do well and prepare them for the end of course at the same time. Okay.
Yes, sir. I'll relay the message. Yes, sir.
Please.
Administration does recommend approval. 15-16 UIL stipends.
We have a motion, item 13.
I so move.
We have a second. We have a second by Mr. Klein. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 14. Thank you, Dr. Salinas. Item 14, consider and take possible action on tutorial design for elementary and middle school for the 2015-2016 school year.
Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Trigo, what we are presenting tonight is the proration of the number of positions per campus, and that includes the 3 middle schools and the elementary schools. And this is based in regard to the needs assessment that each particular campus conducted, the referral system where they identified the number of population of students that's to be serviced, and the objectives and the strategies of each particular campus that they are going to implement towards tutorials or the students attending tutorials.
I know that we reviewed this in the Personnel Committee as well, and we talked about how you would be selecting or hiring the tutors.
Yes,
It'll
and,
rotate based on need.
Yes.
And
Each
so-
principal submitted the information, that is the number of positions and so forth, and they are the ones that are going to recommend.
Okay, and I already asked Mr. Trigo on this, and he's clarified it just to make sure. There are hourly personnel, ¿verdad? And just to make sure that
Yes.
none of them goes over 40 hours a week.
Oh no, we've been with the principals, working very close with the principals in this particular issue, and we've been checking everything, and we are going to really look at as the time reports come in, we are going to make sure that no person, none of the paraprofessionals.
Paraprofessionals, that's the key.
Yeah,
hourly
they don't go
hourly,
over
because,
time.
Right.
because it could be security, it could be
Yes.
Secretaries,
clerk, it could be a teacher aide,
And custodians.
and they also have a nurse's aide. Right?
Yes,
So
yes.
some campuses do. So
Yes.
all of those are positions that are, I think, are hourly. So just to
Yes.
make sure it doesn't
Yes,
go
we
over.
are going to be monitoring that particular area very close.
Very good, very good.
Let's
Mr.
make sure
Salinas,
that-
I know during the committee meeting, we spoke about the recommendation. It was 5 days per week, right? The tutors.
Well, it depends
Okay.
with the schedule that each particular campus developed. In other words, some are working 3 days, 2 hours, and so forth.
Okay.
Most of them have 2 days plus Saturdays.
Yes, that's correct.
Any more discussion? Do we have a motion, item 14?
I move that we approve this item as presented.
We have a motion by Ms. Solis. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Klein. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 15, consider and take possible action on consultant services for LPAC folder review audit.
Good evening, Board President, Mr. Garcia, school board members, Mr. Rodrigo, and audience. As presented to the Curriculum Committee meeting by Mr. Miguel Villarreal, our bilingual director, in preparation for the TEA visit, it is imperative that an external LPAC folder audit review be conducted. As presented, we are recommending a team of 4 individuals who will work for 4 days in our district. We have close to 6,800 LEP student folders to review. The total cost is $8,800, and it will be funded through the bilingual program. We recommend approval.
And I would like to state that I think Mr. Varela specified that these are individuals who used to work at Region 1.
That is
are
correct.
retired and now do
Yes,
consulting work.
Dr. Amy Mares and her consultants, and it's Celestial Professional Development Services.
Thank you.
I so move.
We have a motion, item 15. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second by Ms. Solis. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 16, consider and take possible action on Region 1 Education Service TSDS PEAMS Cooperative Agreement for the 2015-2016 school year.
Good evening, members of the board, Mr. Trigo, members of the audience. As presented in the committee for the curriculum, we stated that this is an ongoing service support that we receive from Region 1 every year. This year specifically, it expands on the new PEAM submission strategies and processes that the state created. So there is a vast change on the way that we were submitting data to the state. So it is more critical this year to receive some of those support services as the people at Region 1 work directly with TA and all this process. So the specifics of the services are listed on a page titled Public Education Information Management System, PEAMS, and they're outlined directly. So we recommend approval.
Any discussion, item 16?
No.
Do we have a motion, item 16?
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Solis and a second by Mr. Sines. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Yes, and Mr.
Thank you,
President, while
members.
Mr. Alvarez is up here, the board would like to commend yourself, Mr. Hoyt Sines, Mr. Meme Sanchez, and other staff. and administrators that put on some beautiful events yesterday for the veterans.
That is
We are so grateful to you all. You know, it's the very least that we can do for these brave men and women who burden the shoulder of freedom. I know that Mr. Saenz and I attended the one at Veterans Memorial, and then Mr. Garcia, Mr. Saenz, Mr. Ramirez, myself, the one in La Gruya. And I know there was a beautiful one in Rio High I didn't get to make, but all of the events, everything that we heard, all of the feedback was very positive. We know you all put a lot of time and effort. We know you all are veterans. And it shows in the turnout and how happy they were. And we were just very, very, very appreciative of all of the work that you did. And whatever it is that you need, I know Mr. Saenz said, the committee is really getting on its feet, but count on all 7 of us to support you all. Let us know what you need so that we can continue to make any programs for veterans better.
We are all in the committee glad to do it. We've acquired some new members also as well, veterans from both ends of the county, of the district, excuse me. So we are really proud of the endeavor. We are ready to work and bring recognition to our veterans here in the district.
Absolutely.
And thank you for your support.
Count on our continued support.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Great job, Mr. Alvarez.
Item 17, consider and take possible action on Foundational Support Series, DMAC Solutions.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Trigo. Before I get started, I'd like to congratulate our Miley Rattler Band students. What an honor. Wow, it's been since 1989, I believe, since they've made it to state. So kudos to our band students and parents and the directors and our cuss country, you know, being there the last few years. Always seeing the kids run, wow. So it's amazing. So congratulations. Thank you for supporting them. We're bringing this before you, board, this evening for your approval. We're asking for this 3-day stat development for our teachers and administrators and 2 days of instructional support on DMAC. That's a program that we purchased earlier for the system that we're using to track our assessments. And we're asking for approval of this training. Day 1 will encompass comprehensive STAR investigation, utilizing the assessment to inform instruction. Day 2, the degree of mastery analysis and curriculum calibration. And day 3 is going to cover elements of effective instructional practices. So we come to before you for approval. It will be funded through Title I.
Any discussion, item 17?
No, I was in the presentation. It was good. So
Yeah, we were in the curriculum committee and everything looks great. Thank you. Thank you.
Do we have a motion, item 17?
I move that we approve the item as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Mr. Ramirez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Anything on reports? No. Before we go into executive, I have a few announcements. I know the weather's getting kind of bad, but tomorrow our Gruya Gator football team will be traveling to Florida Bluff. If we can show some support and see if we can get ourselves out there. If we can't, then I think our tech department, Mr. Saenz and Mr. Gonzalez, will be, believe, there'll be some live audio that we can through the district website of the game. Also, I got word from our maintenance department. I wanted to recognize them for the new billboard is now, I believe, completed in Gruya High School as well. This was a project that was started here with our Fort Ringo, and we completed. I believe they completed the Gruya one today, and now they're moving to Rio High School and completing a billboard over there. And this is an actual very effective way to save some money. Also, I want to, Mr. Recio was told it was your birthday. On behalf of the board, I want to wish you a happy birthday.
Eso no se dice.
Happy birthday, Mr. Recio.
Okay, because of that, we take all of Benito's questions back.
Mr. President, I also want to thank maintenance. I see them back there. Relay for Life was last weekend. It was a beautiful event. The district always fully supports it, but it makes a difference to have the maintenance workers out there. They're all in a great mood. They were very helpful. The committee's very, very appreciative of all those people that were out there helping us out. And we know it was cold and drizzly weather. Nobody wanted to be there late at night, but they stuck it out, and they were real team players. So please, especially on my behalf as a committee member for Relay for Life, please thank them. We do appreciate you all. Thank you.
It is now 7:48. We'll be going into closed session under authority of the Texas Government Code Section 551.071. It is now 8:11. We're out of executive session. Do we have a motion on item A, B, C, D, E, and E?
I move that we approve the items as presented in executive.
We have a motion by Ms. Solis, a second by Mr. Klein. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I shall move.
A second?
Second.
Meeting is adjourned.
RGC
It is at 8:11.